Republicans say they have the receipts to show Democrats have been lying about Epstein. SCOTUS agrees to hear a major immigration case. And Trump signals he's gearing up to sue the BBC. I'm Georgia Howe with Daily Wire Executive Editor John Bickley. It's Monday, November 17th, and this is Evening Wire.
House Republicans on the Oversight Committee say Democrats have been caught red-handed spreading a hoax about President Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Daily Wire reporter Tim Pierce reports.
A 10-page memo released by the committee today lays out the case against the Democrats. It states, quote, "Unfortunately, during this investigation, Oversight Committee Democrats, led by Ranking Member Robert Garcia, have intentionally mischaracterized witness testimony and selectively released information with targeted redactions in an effort to create another hoax involving President Trump." It continues, quote, "The Democrats have uncovered nothing new, have released no document not provided at the request of Republicans, and have only succeeded in reinforcing what the American people already knew. President Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein decades ago, President Trump ended the relationship with Epstein, and President Trump did not participate or know about the nature of Epstein's evil."
The Supreme Court agreed today to review a first-term effort by the Trump administration to limit asylum claims. Daily Wire congressional reporter Amber Jo Cooper has more.
The key issue in the case Noam v. Al Otro Lotto is over what constitutes arrival in the United States within the meaning of federal immigration law. The law provides that an alien who arrives may apply for asylum and must be inspected by an immigration officer. The legal question, however, is over whether an immigrant arrives to begin the process for the asylum claim when meeting immigration officials on the U.S. side of the border or while still on the Mexican side. The Trump administration appealed to the Supreme Court after a federal appeals court said someone arrives when they present themselves to an immigration official at the border, even if that meeting occurs on Mexican soil.
Ukrainian President Zelensky has been implicated in a major corruption scandal. Daily Wire senior editor Joel Needler has the details.
According to allegations by the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, several individuals with close ties to Zelensky are suspected of taking substantial kickbacks from the government projects intended to safeguard the nation's energy sector during wartime. Investigators have identified Timur Mindich as the alleged ringleader. Mindich previously worked with Zelensky, co-owning a production company together before his presidency. Zelensky also reportedly celebrated his birthday in Mindich's apartment in 2019, a lavish residence said to feature golden toilets. Other individuals named in the investigation include former Deputy Prime Minister Oleksiy Chernyshov. Zelensky has publicly welcomed the anti-corruption probes, stating that, quote, "Everyone who put together a corrupt scheme must receive a clear legal response." Nevertheless, his past associations with the accused have prompted questions about what he may have known and whether the scandal could politically implicate him.
In a show of European support, France agreed to sell up to 100 fighter jets to Ukraine. The agreement includes air defense equipment, air-to-air missiles, and aerial bombs to aid in Ukraine's war with Russia, and follows another deal for Swedish jets signed last month. The French deal has a deadline of 2035 for delivery of the jets. Ukrainian President Zelensky, who met with French President Emmanuel Macron on Monday, described the agreement as, quote, "truly historic for both our nations."
Operation Charlotte's Web has ensnared more than 100 illegal immigrants with criminal records. Daily Wire reporter Zach Jewell reports.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents descended upon Charlotte, North Carolina over the weekend, and the operation was a big success. The Department of Homeland Security told the Daily Wire that Border Patrol agents arrested over 130 illegal immigrants. A DHS spokesman said the criminal records of those arrested include, quote, "known gang membership, aggravated assault, possession of a dangerous weapon, felony larceny, simple assault, hit and run, possession of stolen goods, shoplifting, DUI, DWI, and illegal re-entry after prior deportation."
President Trump says he'll likely sue the BBC for as much as $5 billion after it selectively edited his speech in a documentary about January 6th.
They've even admitted that they cheated. They changed the words coming out of my mouth.
Daily Wire reporter Amanda Harding has more.
The documentary, which aired on the BBC's flagship Panorama News program, spliced together 3 video excerpts from Trump's speech, creating the impression he was inciting the 2021 Capitol riot. Trump's lawyers are also demanding an apology and compensation for what they called overwhelming reputational and financial harm. The BBC has admitted that its editing of Trump's remarks was an error of judgment, and they sent a personal apology to Trump on Thursday. They also stated they would not rebroadcast the documentary. The BBC's Director General and its head of news have also resigned over the scandal.
President Trump is signaling he may sit down with Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro, even as a massive U.S. warship floats just off the coast. Trump told reporters Sunday that Caracas would like to talk, but offered no hint of when or how those talks might unfold.
We may be having some discussions with Maduro, and we'll see how that turns out. They would like to talk.
The comment comes as Washington moves to brand a network of Venezuelan military officers as terrorists and as the nation's largest carrier enters the Caribbean amid expanded anti-drug missions. Despite the show of force, Maduro has changed his tune a bit, suggesting that he now wants to talk. Here he is calling for peace and briefly breaking into song.
Peace, peace. Como decía John Lennon, ¿no? Alfred Nazaret, ¿cómo era la canción de John Lennon? Imagine us people.
Americans on food stamps will soon have to reapply for SNAP benefits. Daily Wire reporter Amanda Prestigiacomo has more.
Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins announced the change late last week and said that they aim to make sure that everyone who's taking a taxpayer-funded benefit through food stamps is vulnerable and can't survive without it. On her first day as Ag Secretary, Rollins sent a letter to all 50 states asking for additional data on SNAP recipients. Only 29 states responded with the data she requested, but still, Rollins noted that 5,000 dead people were found to receive SNAP checks in just 1 month. Officials say they hope that reprocessing all SNAP recipients will remove ineligible participants, strengthen data accuracy, and reduce government spending.
Jets cornerback Chris Boyd is in critical condition after being shot in Manhattan on Sunday. Here's Crane & Company co-host David Cohn.
The shooting reportedly stemmed from an altercation outside a Midtown restaurant around 2 a.m. Sunday morning. The 29-year-old sustained a gunshot wound to the abdomen and was rushed to Bellevue Hospital, where he remains in stable but critical condition. Police are still working to identify and apprehend the suspect, who was captured on video surveillance fleeing the scene. No motive or relationship with Boyd has been established at this point. We'll stay on top of any updates as this story unfolds.
Former President Joe Biden's son Hunter has gone on the record saying that President Trump is not, in fact, the next incarnation of a Nazi dictator, but only technically. Here's Biden.
I'm not saying that there is a Holocaust. And by the way, I'm not saying that Donald Trump is Hitler, because Hitler had an ideology, okay? And he had a grand plan. Donald Trump is purely corrupt.
As the Daily Wire has reported, Trump is reportedly the only president in recent history to see his net worth drop after a term or two in the Oval Office. Trump's net worth dropped from $3 billion to $2.3 billion over his first presidential term.
Records on Amelia Earhart's disappearance have taken flight. Great one, guys. Following an order from President Trump, the National Archives declassified and released 4,624 pages of documents on Friday. The documents include logbooks of U.S. military vessels involved in the historic Aran Sea search for Earhart, as well as various memos, newspaper clippings, letters, and telegrams. Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan disappeared during an attempt to fly around the world in 1937. The National Archives said more records would be digitized and posted on a rolling basis.
O.J. Simpson's estate will pay Fred Goldman nearly $58 million in a wrongful death judgment. Fred's son, Ron, was killed alongside Simpson's wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, in the 1994 murders. This comes after years of resisting the payment and accumulating interest. Simpson was found not guilty in criminal court, but was found liable for the deaths in civil court, though he avoided most of that payment until his death at 76 in 2024. The executor of Simpson's estate, Malcolm Laverne, had fought the judgment for years, but says he will now auction Simpson's personal items to help pay the sum.
And athletic gear giant Nike apparently funded a study on young athletes under so-called gender-affirming care and then pulled its funding after public backlash. Daily Wire reporter Lyndon Blake has the story.
Researcher Joanna Harper, who was involved in the study, told the New York Times they were running fitness tests on children as they underwent hormone treatment. Harper, who came out as transgender back in the early 2000s, said the study was scrapped after, quote, haters got wind of it. Harper attributed the reversal to nerves in the wake of the Bud Light PR fiasco. Nike received plenty of pushback earlier this year when the reports came out from people like Senator Tommy Tuberville and Charles Barkley. We've reached out to Nike for comment, and we are still waiting to hear back.
Those are your drive home updates this evening. To learn more about these stories, go to dailywire.com. And in case you missed it earlier today, we covered some major stories, including the public battle between Trump and MTG, new warnings about Chinese tech on U.S. military bases, and the Trump administration bringing its immigration blitz to North Carolina. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow morning with another full edition of Morning Wire.